maturing in how you being created by our Creator God. Okay, and first thing that when we talk about maturity is that sometimes we a little bit confused of salvation and what's after salvation. Salvation is the beginning of the maturity, okay? Because God's wisdom, God's entire being, His glory, who He is, revealed to us in Jesus Christ. That's how we start to get matured, right? In Galatians, we talk about we were like kids being governed by teachers, which is who's not God, who's like the law, right? Then we grow up. Once we learn Jesus Christ died on the cross for us, there's all the great gifts to the church, okay? So that Christ will equip His people, so that the body of Christ may be built up until become mature. That's the entire passage is talking about. So the first thing is that we realize that Jesus Christ actually, want us to mature. When we come to church, when we get to know Him, it is not the end; it is the beginning. He actually sees us as infants, and we actually are infants. And that's just the first step. And He wants us to be equipped by all the gifts that He has given us, okay? So that we, as a body, can be built up and become mature and become more like Him, almost as attaining the whole measure of the fullness of Him. And it can only be done as a body. So salvation is individual, right? Your decision to believe in God is your decision, and that's your salvation. But maturity is gained as a body. There's no other way you can gain maturity outside of a body of Christ. So that's why coming to this church is such an important thing. Okay, you come to the church, but also related and rooted yourself in the church is the way that how God help you grow to maturity. Okay? In Matthew, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says that you are the light. You are the light of the world. But He said that it is a town built on a hill, cannot be hidden. It is a town. It is not you being built. It is the body of Christ being built, and it is a community of believers being built to shine on the hill. So, the first thing that we got from this passage is that we grow maturity as a church, okay, and pray for local churches. Okay? If someday, if God sends you to Germany, to whatever, Japan to work, belong to a local church, because that's how you grow. Okay, that's how you grow. Okay, so let's take into a few things today and see if Good Shepherd is in the heart and will of the Lord. How do we see people grow in our church? Okay, the first thing that we find out there in verse 12 and 13 talk about the way we mature. How do we become mature, okay, in the church? It says that to equip His people for work of service, so that the body of Christ may be built up until we all reach unity in the faith and in the knowledge of Son of God, and become mature through works of service. Okay? Through works of service. I mean, there's several key words in this passage. It says that Christ sent His gift to equip His people. That's you and me in the church, and through for the works of service. So God wants us to mature in serving, Okay? That's the first thing that comes to us. God want us to mature is work of service. Okay? So that the entire body can be built up until we reach unity. Service, unity, and in the knowledge of Son of God, in knowing God, knowing Jesus. So those three areas, let's delve into it deeper. First thing is that how do we start to get mature is not from being served. Okay? If you see people say, hey, I go to church, I church A and church B, and they have this great service, they have sermon, the preacher's great, the worship music is great, people are great. Okay? And you go there, and 20 years after, you're not maturing. Okay? Even you read a lot of Bibles, you attend a lot of services, you are far from this mature, you're not part of this matured body of Christ. What it says is that we serve. We serve. And I know in Good Shepherd, some people actually feel, we are serving a lot. And some people actually do, okay? Serving a lot more than others, sometimes people think. But the reason being people willing to serve more is they are more mature. Okay? Good Shepherd, as a good small church, has this charm. Okay? Everybody knows everybody, like a small town, right? That's from human perspective. If you go to a small town, everybody knows everybody is everything. Yeah, that's sometimes this is the charm, right? But more importantly, being a small church, we are sort of compelled to serve. Okay? Compelled to serve. And a lot of people actually have serving more than one role, which hopefully God will guide this church so people will be more focused on one role instead of several roles. But more importantly is that everybody serves. Okay? Everybody serves. Serve in different capacities so that we can grow. So that's the function of the church. Serving is a privilege. Serving is a privilege in the church, in the body of Christ, for you to grow. Okay, being served is just prepare you to serve. If you feel like you come here and being served, it's God sent gifts to equip you, right? To compel you, and you start to serve. So that's the thing, when we think about so sometimes we feel tiring, and I feel for those people that who have to serve a lot, but it is a privilege, it is a grace, it's a gift from God that we get to serve, to grow, to become mature, okay, as a body. Okay? It's only in church that we get to do that. And so, from being served to serving is how we become mature. Second thing is that from individuals to community is the way we become mature. It says that reach unity. Okay? So we come in as a church and minding our own business. All of a sudden, there's a people sitting next to you, talking to you, relate to you, go to small group with you, and you start to relate to people. Yeah, you expand your horizon. Instead of you just see your thing, now you see, many people, the body, the other parts of the body of Christ. And that's what Jesus called us to do. Okay? You're not only minding your own business, you're also mindful of others. And that's the beauty of getting mature, because we are so bogged down to self-centered work. Okay? And we don't see other people's needs. We don't see the beauty of other people. We don't appreciate all the gifts that God has given to another person. And sometimes that prevents us from being mature. And so that's another gift that God give us, this local church, is to help us to meet one another, live with one another, and of course, in some sense, struggle with one another, right? We have all the differences, and we have the different emphasis. We have different experiences, but we come together. Then we find out, it is not only me that's important, right? We see 50 other people. They all have tremendous grace in their lives, tremendous walk, experience in their lives, tremendous gift from God to offer to this body. And we all of a sudden realize, we are not alone, and we are not alone as our own focus. Okay? So, instead of God's deeds together, we move from self-reliance to Christ dependence as a church, right? We experience that, we all live and see other people struggle, and we all live and see other people's triumph in the Lord, right? And that is helping us to remove from our own self-reliance. I need to solve everything myself, to letting God to come in, trusting in God, and bring me along in my journey. So we experience God's deeds together. Not only see other couples, we do things together. For example, we have this facility together. We have this school together. We have this ministry together. Okay? And that's help us grow, because we put down our self-reliance and surrender ourselves to God. And we find out, wow, this is what God wants us in our lives. Do our part and let God do His part. Okay? So the three things that we see that how, as a church, that we can grow together is serve, attain unity, and knowing Christ and trusting Christ together. So that is, what we are, how God called us as a church. Each individual has to mature so that the group can mature together. Okay? So there are the following passage talk about the two marks that's important. How do we know that we are